Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I figured I would do a video on my eyeshadow palette collection. I get a lot of questions about eyeshadow palettes and what I think of this one versus that one, and I have quite a good amount. So I figured I would just do like a quick roundup of my thoughts on most of my eye palettes. And yeah, I mean larger eye palettes, not necessarily like 4 or 5 palette eyeshadows, kind of like, major eyeshadow palettes, like 8, 12, 16 shadows. So I'll do a quick review on all of them and give you my thoughts on each. Let's start first with these ever popular ones, the Too Faced chocolate palettes. That's the chocolate bar. And then this is the semi-sweet palette that launched. So I really enjoyed both of these. I thought originally that I would love the chocolate bar palette more. I felt that the colors were kind of like a good range. They weren't too warm or too cool. But I definitely, after trying the semi-sweet, though a lot of people think that semi-sweet is more warm, I kind of did a comparison. I found them to have, the semi-sweet to have more cooler tone browns, which I prefer a little bit. Shedding. And I think the semi-sweet has one more matte shade than the regular chocolate palette. That's the semi-sweet. So I actually prefer the semi-sweet a little bit more, even though there are still some shades in here that I'm not going to use, like this pink sugar one. That one's not a really popular one that I use, and then obviously that bright teal. Sometimes I'll play around with it, but on the whole, I do like the semi-sweet better. But I think that they both are fantastic eyeshadow palettes that work on every possible skin tone. So that's what I love about it. So no matter how fair you are, medium tone, olive tone, dark skin, anyone can pick up one of those palettes and find some colors to work for them. Next, I've had this palette for a long time, and I still really love it and pull it out regularly. It's the Stila in the Garden palette. I just love this palette. Like there are these two colors. These two right here, Bark and Breeze. I just absolutely adore them. It's all shimmer shades, except for like this top. No, I think this one's shimmer. I think it's all shimmer, but not very glittery. And I just think these two shades are just two of my favorite colors of all time. They're like this nice, like one swipe over the eyelid. They look great. And I don't tend to use the other brighter colors in the palette. So for that reason, this may not be, a must-have purchase for many of you that just want neutral shades. But since I've had it in my collection for so long, I do tend to use it more frequently than I thought. But I don't ever use those brighter shades. So that's the only bummer. Next, this is a limited edition palette, but it came out again this past holiday season, I think. So it's worth me talking about because they may relaunch it again. And it's the Laura Mercier Artist Palette. These are the shades. It's absolutely 100% like worth every penny. It has a good range of some purple shades, some brown shades. It's definitely more plummy and purpley than it is brown. However, the plummy and purple shades are super wearable. And there's a decent mix of matte and shimmer. Not a great mix because most of the matte shades are actually darker, so you're going to use them more as liner shades and as crease colors. But I really highly recommend this palette. And like I said, I wanted to talk about it because they brought it back out again this past holiday season, so you never know. Maybe they'll bring it out again. All right, next, the iconic palettes that kind of started the whole, I think, like neutrally kind of palette is the Naked palette. I had the Naked too, so this is it. It's definitely has some more gray tones to it, much more cooler palette. I don't use it as much as I do everything else. I find that it's very shimmery for me. And yeah, it's a lot of the, I like some of the matte shades, but because most of the colors are so glittery and shimmery, even I love the tones, like these are the colors that I would wear on my eyes all the time. I just find that there's some glitter fallout sometimes for me, and but that being said, it's still a holy grail palette for so many people, and it's such an iconic, the shades are really beautiful. So if you are interested in more shimmery shades, then I would say pick up one of the Naked palettes, or pick up Naked 2, because it's got those great cool tones. The Naked 3 was a little too rose for me. There was like a lot of rose shades in there, a lot of pinky rose, and I don't tend to like that. So, and then I saw the recent, like the Urban Decay Naked Smoky palette, which I think is beautiful. I think that'll be great for a lot of people that like to do a smoky eye. I myself don't tend to like to do as much of a smoky eye, so I'll probably pass on that. I say that now until I am in a store and I have no willpower and I take it home with me. So for now, I'm not going to buy it. Who knows what it'll be like tomorrow. All right, next is the IT Cosmetics Naturally Pretty palette. And this I really, really love. So this has a wide variety of shades. Some color, some neutral, but they're all matte, and they have this like little transforming pearl shade down here that transforms them to be shimmery. I don't transform them, I like to matte the way they are. I find that they're a very medium texture, so they're not too pigmented, they're not too sheer. It kind of falls right in the middle, so they're easy to kind of apply in a hurry, and they're also easy to build up if you want more color. But there are definitely some pops of color in here. Look at these kind of like orangey shades, which look good in the crease to really warm up the crease. But there's no kind of wild color in here, meaning like there's not like a wild card of like a bright teal or a yellow or something. But I really love, love, love this palette, specifically because it's matte. All right, the LORAC Unzipped. So this is what it looks like. And it's all goldeny rose shades. And I know I just said I didn't like the Naked 3 because it had all those rose shades. I definitely kind of gravitated towards this. I don't know why. It does have those kind of rose gold shades. But I really enjoy this. It definitely, the lighter shades are very, very shimmery. So I tend to kind of mix them with some matte shades that I have. So that's the only downside to it. I did really, really enjoy this palette, but I do wish that it had a few more matte lid shades. Like these are more kind of crease shades and liner shades, but I wish it did have another matte. This one, Undercover, no, that has shimmer to it. I wish it had like one nice matte bone shade that I could kind of mix with the others. But overall, I do really like the color tones in this palette. And I don't find it to be so it's a little pinky, but it has more gold to it, so I can kind of justify it. Whatever. I can justify anything when it comes to makeup. This is newest one that I have in my collection. It's the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette. Beautiful, all matte shades, which is amazing. Looks good on so many different skin tones, like almost anyone can wear this palette. I like that it has like warm shades, gray, cool shades, very neutral shades. It's a very wearable palette, and you can create a ton of different looks. I like how it kind of almost has them like lid, crease, liner, highlighter, shade, kind of all grouped together. I kind of like when palettes do that and kind of helps you figure out what colors are going to go together. I definitely enjoy using it. I would say that I've been using it a ton this past month because I've been really into matte shades, but I definitely like to switch it up a little bit with some shimmer shades to kind of throw in there every once in a while. But I always reach for this palette for some like core. This has become like my core kit almost, because like this crease shade is fantastic. Like this dark brown looks great as a liner. So it's become like the palette that I'll be mixing other things on my lid, and I'll grab this for like the liner shade or the crease shade. So it's become like a kind of a core kit for me that I build other looks off of and mix with other palettes. All right, the Narcissist, what is this? The Dual Intensity Eyeshadow Palette. So I totally splurged on this. Sure you guys are familiar with this formulation of eyeshadows, the NARS Dual Intensity Eyeshadows. Really loved this palette. I tend to stick with just kind of, I tend to wear almost every shade in the top here. And I wear these two shades. I don't wear the blue and black as much. I'll tend to wear the blue maybe as a liner. And the black really looks great as a liner. But the texture in these is just absolutely beautiful. They look great dry. They look great wet. I don't find them to be too shimmery for me. They don't bother me. Like when I can wear them to work and not feel like I'm a disco ball. So, and I like the fact that they're all in one. I didn't buy any of the solo shadows when they launched, so I was happy to get it all in a palette. It is a little bit of a pricier splurge palette. So, and I do think there are other palettes out there that I would, advise getting before that one. But if you've been dying to try the NARS Dual Intensity eyeshadows, that is the palette to get. Okay, next, this one is so beautiful. The Too Faced Natural Matte Palette. It is so amazing. So many great shades in a tiny little, like it's just so cute. It's like just easy to bring with you, easy to carry. The shades are great. It's all neutral browns. So it's some warm shades, some cool shades, and I just love the texture of them. They're very easy to blend, really buttery. Too Faced is just winning. It's been winning for a while. I was never a Too Faced fan. I thought that they were very young and just gimmicky for so long. I was not impressed by a lot of their products for so long, and I would avoid trying their products because I was like, it's like teenager stuff. Well, I have eaten a big slice of, or eaten crow, or not humble pie, but eaten crow, or whatever that phrase is when you like totally made a mistake. I absolutely love Too Faced now. Like, I swear by so many of their products. Their bronzer is one of my favorite of all times. That palette is absolutely amazing. Obviously, the chocolate bar palettes are iconic and wonderful. So, joke's on me, Too Faced is fantastic for all ages. Next, well, I wasn't going to include this because I made this palette, but I wear it so often that I was like, I have to talk about it. So it's the Takei palette that I made. I've talked about it before. I've listed all the colors on the blog. I just love Takei eyeshadows, period. And the fact that they do this 8 palette kind of make your own is absolutely perfect for me. I just have created this great kind of neutral collection of kind of taupey shades, of plum shades. There's a green shade in there that's so pretty. And I just love their shadows. So I had to include this because I wear this palette a lot. And though I made it, I thought it was worth including in our discussion. All right, 2 Stila palettes. The Stila first one that I showed you in the garden, that was like from back in the day. They made that so long ago. So the newer palettes have launched within the past few years. I think last year was when they really started. So they were like the Eyes or the Window palette or something. These like, how many shades? They're like 4 to 12 shades. This is the Mind palette. It's all matte shades. I love this palette because the colors are so rich and pigmented, and I just like the blend. Like, it has some grays in there, which I don't ever force myself to use, and having them in this palette, I've kind of thrown them into a look here and there, and I really enjoy it. I love these 2 deeper colors. So this is like a deep teal, and this is like a deep aubergine eggplant color. Look beautiful as liners. So that's really like keeps me excited about this palette. And the fact that it's all matte, I love that. This is a newer one. I just received, and I put it on Instagram and everyone's like going crazy. It's such a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. It's the Stila Nouveau Natural Eyeshadow Palette. I mean, hello, so beautiful. Just, it's all like rosy, even though I said, I'm totally going back on everything that I said about that Naked 3 palette. Like, I don't like it because it's so rosy. Here I am like going on and on about all these other rosy palettes that I love. I just didn't like the Naked 3. I think I should just put it at that and not give a reason. I just didn't like it. No reason needed. But love this because it's a mixture of shimmer, it's a mixture of matte, it's got some dark shades in there, but not too many. That's what I love. So there's so many palettes that have like great liner shades, but like, how am I ever gonna hit pan on a liner shade? I won't, unless I use it forever, every day, 3 times a day until I die. So I like that most of these shades are all lid shades. That is fantastic to me. Or crease shades, but pretty much all lid shades. And I like that, and I feel like I'll get so much use out of this palette. It's actually what I'm wearing today on my eyes. So, which looks really, really natural, but it's beautiful. I just kind of mixed 2 like champagne-y colors together with like a nice matte rose brown in the crease. Really love it. All right, the final 3 are tinier palettes, but just because they're tiny doesn't mean that they're not fantastic. The Dior Eye Reviver palette, I wear this a lot. It is such a good palette. I mean, the only one I don't use is like this like gel liner at the end. Not needed, Dior. Sorry, it's just not needed. I mean, good concept, but not needed. And I just love, I specifically use these 2 like middle brown shades all the time. Let me see if I can focus it. It'll focus. There it is. These 2 middle brown shades all the time, and I love it. This bone shade at the end is such a great base color to build off any eye look. Love this palette. Okay, the Bare Minerals, these Ready Eyeshadow 8.0 palettes. I tend to use this one the most. This is the Power Neutrals. I have all 3 of them, or all 4. There's like maybe 3 or 4 of these palettes. I like the Power Neutrals. I like it because it's really small and compact. It can be a little dusty, but the color really adheres well once I use a primer. And I just love, I love that it has some greens and grays in here. And I like that it's a little bit different than my typical browns. So, and then the final palette, which I've talked about a million times before. I've talked about it in like my best of 2014, my favorite makeup items that I use regularly. So, oh my god, it's so dusty. Sorry. But it is the Mark On the Dot Neutral Eye Palette. It's like this little candy dot palette, and it is so adorable. I use it all the time. I travel with it. It pretty much goes everywhere with me. I've been using it for like a year plus, and the colors are just so great. There's plum shades, there's brown shades, there's rose shades, champagne colors. It's all shimmer though, but it does not bother me in the least. And I just love the colors, and I find them so easy to blend, and I like that it's like insanely compact, and I wear it all the time. And those are my eyeshadow palettes. And so I hope you guys have, maybe got some questions answered maybe you were deciding between a few and you wanted another opinion. So I figured I would just go through all of them. I obviously have like other palettes where they're like 5-color or 4-color quads and whatnot, but these are the kind of the big guys that really are, a splurge. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll list everything down below in the comments, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.